She cheated, then said, "If you're unhappy, the door's right there." I replied, "Thanks for the reminder." Then I did something that made her realize how empty the house felt without me. When she walked in and found all the furniture gone, she knew what I'd done. Hello guys, back with another story. Stick around to the end, and if you like the content, please do hit that subscribe button. It actually helps more than you think. I build things. It's what I do. I'm a custom furniture maker. I take raw, rough pieces of wood and I shape them into something beautiful, functional, and permanent. My hands are calloused. My workshop smells of sawdust and varnish, and my greatest satisfaction comes from creating things that last. I built my business. I built my reputation, and over the last 5 years I thought I had built a life with my girlfriend Maria. I see now that she was just a guest in that life, and she never understood that a home is more than just a collection of nice things. It's the love and effort you put into building it. The home we shared was my first major project. I bought the small rundown house years before I met her, and I poured my soul into it. I laid the hardwood floors myself. I rebuilt the kitchen cabinets from reclaimed oak. Every piece of furniture in that house I had either built with my own 2 hands or carefully chosen and restored. The heavy dining table where we ate dinner, the sprawling sectional couch where we watched movies, the solid wood bed frame where we slept, they weren't just objects to me. They were pieces of my life. They were the physical manifestation of my hard work and my love. When Maria moved in 3 years ago, she loved the house. She loved the way it looked in her social media posts. She loved telling her friends that her boyfriend was a talented artisan. She loved the comfort and the stability that the house represented. She loved the things in the house. I just made the mistake of thinking she also loved the men who had built it all. For a long time things were good. But over the last year a subtle rot began to set in. She became distant, critical. The house I had built was no longer a sanctuary. It was just a backdrop for her increasingly separate life. She'd come home late smelling of a perfume I didn't recognize and offer vague explanations about networking events for her marketing job. She became fiercely protective of her phone, treating it like a state secret. The foundation of our relationship was cracking, and I was the only one who seemed to feel the tremors. The final catastrophic structural failure happened on a rainy Tuesday night. She had been out for another one of her late work dinners. I had a gut feeling, a deep instinctual sense that something was wrong. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I don't regret it. I checked the location history on our shared tablet, an old device we used for recipes in the kitchen. She had forgotten her location sharing was still active on it. I watched a little blue dot trace her path across the city. She hadn't been at a restaurant downtown. She had been at a residential address in a neighborhood I didn't recognize, and she had been there for over 4 hours. I did a quick property search of the address. It belonged to a man named Julian Croft, a senior director at her company, a man she had described to me as a mentor. When she finally walked through the door just after midnight, dripping with false apologies about a client emergency, I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just held up the tablet and showed her the map. The argument that followed was a blur of her lies, her denials, and then finally her confession. She had been seeing him for months. It was a classic sordid affair, but the most shocking part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was her complete lack of remorse. She didn't cry. She didn't beg for forgiveness. She got angry. She got defensive. She turned it all around on me. She told me I was boring, that I was always covered in sawdust, that I didn't understand her ambition. She said that Julian was a man who was going places and that she had needs that I couldn't meet. I stood there in the middle of our living room, surrounded by the furniture I had built, the home I had created for us, and I listened to this woman tell me that I wasn't enough. The pain was immense, but underneath it something else was taking shape, a cold, hard resolve. "So what now, Maria?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "What's your plan?" She shrugged. A casual, dismissive gesture that broke something deep inside me. "I don't know," she said. "I guess that's up to you. I'm not gonna stop seeing him. If you're unhappy with the new arrangement, the door's right there." She pointed to the front door of my house. The door I had hung with my own hands. She was standing in my home, a home built and furnished by my labor, and telling me to leave if I didn't like her cheating on me. It was the most profound, most arrogant, most soul-crushingly disrespectful thing anyone had ever said to me. I looked at her. I looked at the couch she was sitting on, the one I had spent 100 hours designing and building. I looked at the bookshelves filled with her things, the coffee table I had made from a fallen maple tree on my father's property, and I realized she saw none of it. To her it was all just stuff. Replaceable, disposable, just like me. I didn't say another word. I just nodded slowly. I walked over to the front door, the one she had so helpfully pointed out. I opened it, then turned back to her. "Thanks for the reminder," I said. She smirked, a smug, triumphant look on her face. She thought she had won. She thought I was going to pack a bag and leave defeated. She thought I was abandoning my home to her and her affair. She had no idea that I wasn't leaving. I was just taking my life back. And my life was in every single piece of furniture in that house. The plan formed in my mind, fully formed and perfect in its simplicity. She didn't want me. She just wanted the comfortable life I provided. She wanted the house, the furniture, the stability. She was about to discover what the house felt like without the men who had built it. She was about to learn the difference between a house and a home. The next morning I put my plan into motion. Maria had an all-day team building retreat with her company, an event she had been looking forward to for weeks. It was an event organized by her mentor Julian. The universe has a funny way of providing the perfect opportunities for justice. She left the house at 7 a.m. dressed in her best power suit, leaving me with a perfect uninterrupted 12-hour window. My first call was not to a moving company. It was to my own crew from my workshop. I had 3 of my best guys, men I trusted completely. I told them I had a side job, that I was clearing out a house and that I'd pay them double for a full day's work. They were at my door by 8 a.m. I didn't just move the furniture. I deconstructed my life. We started in the living room. The sprawling sectional couch, the one we had spent countless nights on, was carefully disassembled. We wrapped each cushion in plastic. We protected each wooden leg. This wasn't a frantic, angry act of destruction. It was a careful, methodical, professional job. I was treating my own life with the same care and respect I give to a client's project. We moved on to the dining room. The heavy oak table I had built for our first anniversary was the centerpiece. It took all 4 of us to carry it out to the truck. Then the bookshelves, the coffee table, the end tables. Each piece was a memory, and I was carefully packing those memories away. The bedroom was the hardest. Taking apart the bed frame I had built for us felt like a final, brutal act of separation. But I did it. We wrapped the mattress. We boxed up the lamps. We emptied the closets of my clothes, my shoes, my entire existence. We didn't just take the furniture. We took everything that made the house a home. We took the rugs off the floor. We took the art off the walls. The paintings I had bought, the photographs I had taken. We took the high-end espresso machine from the kitchen counter. We took the smart TV from the living room wall, leaving only the empty bracket behind. We even took the custom-made curtains from the windows, plunging the rooms into a dim, gloomy twilight. By 4 p.m. the house was a hollow, echoing shell. It was just an empty box of rooms. All that was left was her. Her clothes were still in the closet. Her makeup was still in the bathroom. Her car was still in the driveway. I had left her with her things in her space, but I had removed the entire world I had built around her. I had rented 2 large storage units. We drove everything there and carefully unloaded it. I stood in the middle of the storage unit, surrounded by the physical evidence of my life, and I felt a profound sense of peace. These things were mine. I had created them and I had rescued them. My crew helped me move a few essential items into a small furnished apartment I had rented on a month-to-month basis that morning. Just a bed, a small table, a chair, a temporary base of operations. Before I left the house for the last time, I did one final thing. I went to the circuit breaker and I flipped off the switches for everything except the main lights and the refrigerator. The Wi-Fi went dead. The smart home hub went dark. The complex, comfortable ecosystem I had built and maintained was now offline. I left her tea on the empty kitchen counter next to a single plain white envelope. Inside the envelope was not a letter. It was just a collection of receipts. The receipts for every single piece of furniture, every appliance, every rug, and every piece of art I had just removed. It was a quiet, factual statement of ownership. Then I walked out the front door and didn't lock it. It was her problem now. My part in this was over. I drove to my new empty apartment, ordered a pizza, sat on the floor, and turned off my phone. I didn't want to be there for the immediate fallout. I wanted her to experience the silence. I wanted her to feel the full, crushing weight of the empty space I had left behind. I pieced together the story of her return from a series of frantic, unhinged voicemails she left me after she realized I had blocked her number and she had to call from her office phone the next day. She got home from her retreat around 9 p.m. tired, probably a little drunk and full of herself. She walked into the house and was hit by the silence and the darkness. At first she was just confused. She flicked a light switch. The main overhead light came on, revealing the stark, shocking emptiness of the living room. In her first voicemail, her voice was a mixture of confusion and panic. "David, what the hell is going on? Where is everything? Did we get robbed? Call me back right now." She must have then walked through the rest of the house, discovering the empty dining room, the empty bedroom. She must have found the envelope on the counter and looked at the receipts, because the tone of the second voicemail was completely different. The confusion was gone, replaced by a raw, screeching rage. "You did this. You took everything, the couch, the bed, the TV. You can't do that. That's our stuff. You are a psycho, a monster. I am going to call the police." She did in fact call the police. That was confirmed to me by a neighbor who saw the patrol car arrive. 2 officers showed up and she tried to file a report for theft. The officers, I can only imagine, were deeply confused. They walked through the empty house with her. She showed them the empty rooms. She told them her boyfriend had taken all the furniture. And then she made her fatal mistake. She showed them the envelope full of receipts. The receipts that proved in black and white that I had purchased every single item she was reporting as stolen. The police, faced with clear proof of ownership, informed her that it was not a criminal matter. It was a civil dispute. They couldn't do anything. They told her she needed to talk to a lawyer. Then they left. The third voicemail, left after the police had gone, was a different sound altogether. It was the sound of complete and utter defeat. The rage was gone, replaced by a desperate, pleading sob. "David, please," she cried. "Please just bring the bed back. The house is so cold. It's so empty. I can't sleep on the floor. Please. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry. Just bring the bed back." I deleted the voicemail. The aftermath was a slow, quiet process of her life completely falling apart. She couldn't afford the rent on the house by herself. After a month of living in an empty shell, sleeping on an air mattress she had to buy, she was forced to break the lease, incurring a massive penalty. She had to move back in with her parents. Her affair with Julian, her mentor, fizzled out almost immediately. The thrill was gone. The man she had cheated with was not interested in a woman who was living with her parents and embroiled in a messy, humiliating breakup. She had made a fundamental miscalculation. She thought I was the one who was disposable. She thought the life we had was a permanent fixture, a stage on which she could act out her dramas. She never understood that I was the stage. I was the foundation, the walls, the roof over her head, and the furniture she sat on. When she told me to leave, she thought she was getting rid of the man. She didn't realize she was getting rid of the entire world he had built for her. I never spoke to her again. I let the silence be my final statement. She had shown me the door to my own house, and I had thanked her for the reminder. A reminder that sometimes the only way to fix a broken home is to pack it up and take it with you.